Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And just a couple of hours ago, The Asian Banker came out with a very good article. You can see here, this is Mr. Navin Gupta. He is the managing director for Ripple, takes care of India, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. And this is a really fantastic article. It gives us a very good, up-to-date accounting for what is happening in this part of the world. The Asian Banker, by the way, you might want to put it in your bookmarks because it's like the Wall Street Journal, except it's covering the areas that are really turning out to be 50% of Ripple's business right now. They have offices in Singapore, that's their main office, but also they are in Kuala Lumpur, Beijing, Manila, and Dubai. They have been covering this space since 1996. I think if you're interested in what's going on, because it looks like there is going to be a lot going on from this region for Ripple, then the Asian Banker will no doubt be one of the great sources for you. So we see here that globally, Mr. Gupta says it took Ripple 2 years to acquire the first 100 customers, but it took only 1 year after that to acquire the next 100. So I see a hockey stick forming and expanding with this multi-hub model. Yes, this is very important, and I will touch on that at the end of this article. So with the latest remittance corridors that have been opened up in U.S. to Mexico and to the Philippines in January 2019, Ripple is now present in all the large remittance corridors operating in over 40 countries across 6 continents and aggressively closing the gap. And we do see that every one of those 200 financial institutions, 50% of them are from Asia and the Middle East. They are production ready and they are in the process of going live. The network effect is really starting to take off. And the regulatory opening in this part of the world makes blockchain technology and the digital asset really increasingly in Ripple's favor. So the cryptocurrency and digital assets itself can be managed here. For 2019, we see favorable regulatory environment. He says we see this clear regulatory signals in ASEAN, such as Thailand, the Philippines, Singapore, and they are moving ahead on digital assets. Today, like commercial banks from Japan, Korea, India, and ASEAN are signed on to Ripple. The Middle East is Ripple's fastest growing marketplace. So internationally, other players deploying Ripple's technologies are American Express, Japan's SBI Holdings, France's Crédit Agricole, and Banco Santander. So Gupta regards these progressive institutions are ready to experiment with blockchain technology and digital assets, using it into production. So Ripple is currently in the market offering its remittance solutions through XRapid and Xcurrent. XRapid, a product, of course, that uses the digital asset XRP, is an enterprise solution that uses the digital asset to help facilitate cross-border payments. And Ripple currently has 8 customers who have signed on to use XRapid, including, we cannot forget, the Catalyst Corporate Federal Credit Union. They have a roll-up of 1,400 members. So in Japan, Ripple works with a consortium of banks. So we know that is a number of 61 banks. And the Japan Bank Consortium released the smartphone app called MoneyTap. I talked about that in yesterday's video. I'm telling you, Mr. Okita, who's the CEO of that, I'm going to really push him to stay communicative with the XRP community because I think there are going to be big things that happen with MoneyTap in the very near future. So it is the first mobile app of its kind to be developed and used by multiple different banks in the country. Hello, Francis Coppola. So they are working together. And then, using XRP for liquidity. When we do this in sending cross-border payments, it helps financial institutions avoid the hassle of pre-funding those accounts in destination currencies. So we know this is the secret sauce. This is the magic. This is the solution. This is why XRP is going to be successful. And furthermore, this hub model that is occurring here in the Southeast Asian region, the Bank of Siam is going to serve as a regional clearing partner for Ripple. And if you remember the panel that Brad Garlinghouse was on with the IMF at the FinTech in Singapore, he confirmed that the Siam Commercial Bank is using XRP. And I do believe we are forgetting how important this bank is going to be in this commercial hub. So again, these are major banks, and in this part of the world, they are able to use XRP, and we will see some really fantastic news come out of this region. Okay, I'm going to put the link to the full story in the comment section below and go on to something else I found very interesting. Well, there's a lot of statements out there by people who own Bitcoin or who are invested in Bitcoin or who have exchanges, and they always seem to talk a good game in terms of being positive. But and that's okay. I take those statements with a grain of salt. But when I hear someone from JPMorgan, who has generally been negative on the space, all of a sudden backpedal from earlier bearish predictions, I stand up and notice. So he is saying, this analyst from JPMorgan, that Bitcoin's current stability is a positive sign for the institutional adoption. And he goes on to say that he is certain that more institutional investors will dip their toes into cryptocurrency due to the current stability. So he is spouting how it is no longer unstable and the bubble phase is behind us, he says. And that takes a positive sign for the institutional investors. And hold your horses, he says, because Wyoming is making huge progress by recognizing the cryptocurrencies as legal property. And also, meanwhile, Bakkt is soon expected to launch its Bitcoin futures that are poised to be an icebreaker when it comes to sparking widespread adoption. So I do think he has some valid points. I like what he's saying because usually the JPMorgan camp is not so positive, and I am sure we are getting close to a turnaround. Okay. I wanted to pop on to the IBM Think 219 event website and see if Jed McCaleb was going to speak this year as he did last year with Jesse Lund. It is happening in San Francisco starting this month on the 12th, and it's a little expensive to go to, $2,295 for the full-time pass. You can go for one day for $895. If you can get a bunch of people together, you can get some group discounts at 26% off, but it's still a little bit expensive. They have a good video that kind of talks about their event. Of course, it's so San Francisco. They start at 6:30 in the morning with a well-being morning walk or run, and then you get to cool down with a professional trainer. But the speakers is really who I was interested in seeing, and gosh, check it out. So Chelsea Clinton is the vice chair, and she will be representing the Clinton Foundation, which of course works to improve lives across the United States and around the world. But she is their speaker, and I just found that I was giggling because at the Swell event in October with Ripple, they had President Bill Clinton, and I just find it amusing that for this particular event, they are they have invited Chelsea. All right, so what is Jed McCaleb doing? There are so many people that leave me comments in the comment section to please, let them know what is happening with Stellar and Stellar Lumens. It's not easy because Jed really flies below the radar. There was an article, however, that came out on the 31st of December, and I think actually it hit it pretty much hit the aggregator news sites on January 1st. And it talks about McCaleb's comeback. And it's a very, very good article. And he is not so easy to interview, especially if you want to talk about Mt. Gox or if you want to discuss Ripple and XRP. I think you won't get an interview out of him if that's on the agenda. But what he did talk about is how he is moving forward with a killer mobile app. And actually, this is very good. The Kraken's CEO, Jesse Powell, who is one of the original 2 investors in Ripple, he said Jed is a super brilliant and humble guy, which he seems to have a natural knack for being an early visionary with great ideas. And I thought that was a very kind thing to say, and that he is also able to execute well. And the article is quite good. It'll be down in the comments section below, but in a nutshell, when you get down to what exactly is he working on, he said that there is a new emphasis for the Stellar project. Then it's to connect existing financial firms to the blockchain, particularly mobile wallets, a mandate he described as core to the work of Interstellar, the company now powered by Chain's former team, and that it shares this office with the Stellar Development Foundation. They're in San Francisco. And what it boils down to is that it's trying to make the first killer app. The foundation can focus on building the platform. Interstellar is a viable business built on Stellar, he says. So I think this is one of the best articles as of late that tells you what Jed is thinking and what he's working on, especially since they have combined the Chain's former team and the Stellar team together. So there you go. I know many of you want to know. All right, everybody, we are moving to the fluff. So soon we have Valentine's Day, and Japan is a little funny country because in Japan, men don't give women the chocolates. The women give the men chocolates. Actually, the women don't get anything. Nothing, believe it or not. So there is what is called the giri choco, and giri is your duty, your obligation. So it's obligation chocolate. And women give this chocolate to men, mostly in the way of offices. So their male colleagues and their bosses, and those men come home with just bags of very expensive chocolate. Now, it's not really romantic. Well, it's not supposed to be romantic, but it is expensive. And some of the women workers complain a little bit because they find themselves getting sucked into these very expensive promotions, particularly Godiva from Belgium. They do huge presentations everywhere from the most expensive department stores to the convenience stores with chocolates that are just beautiful, beautiful. Some of them can run like $5 US for one piece. Anyway, the women on generally speaking, spend anywhere from 45 to 50 US dollars on chocolates for their co-workers and bosses. Yeah, so I think there's just a lot of talk about how the women feel like, oh, do I really have to take this money out of my budget for this kind of obligation chocolate event? And I personally say, no, never, ever. I have never bought chocolate for men. I insist that I get the chocolate. And with my insisting and my being American, so I have a license to do things differently here. I do get chocolate. And I will continue to take that stance because this Japanese way is so wrong. But I want to share with you how beautiful the chocolates are. They are just magnificent, actually. And it's just hard not even to think about buying for yourself. This is an example of one of the fancy boxes that you can buy. I'm not sure the cost on this box, but you can see how each one of them is a work of art. This is one that you can find in the convenience stores, and it is a box by Godiva. This box would probably sell for somewhere around $20 US, about, maybe more, maybe 20, maybe 24. Yeah, in that neighborhood. And of course, Godiva and Hello Kitty do a co-brand campaign every Valentine's Day. So don't expect chocolate from me. I want the chocolate given to me. So thank you so much, everybody. All right. Please take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.